Welcome to the Longevity Optimization Podcast, where we discuss longevity, optimal health, nutrition, peak performance, cognitive excellence, and so much more. All right, Ken, it is such a pleasure to have you here with me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Well, our guests and the listeners and watchers on YouTube have seen OPHORA Water in all of my podcast episodes. So you're the founder of OPHORA Water.
Correct. Yes.
So let's start with the why. What made you, what's a little bit of your background? What made you come up with this incredible water brand?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, so I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm actually an inventor, and I've been in the water space my entire career. I actually filed my first water patent when I was a senior at the University of Michigan for a chlorine-free swimming pool system.
Love it.
It was the best system then, and it actually still is today.
I love that.
And so I started actually in organically purifying pools and spas, and then moved into drinking water. And so I'm all about drinking and soaking. And kind of the holy grail for me is, today, one of the issues there's a lot of issues with the water today, but the major issue is there's no oxygen. It used to be a lot of oxygen in water, and there isn't anymore.
How did they used to get it in there?
It was just naturally oxygenated. In fact, if you go to a fast-moving river or stream in the Himalayas, there'll be a significant amount of oxygen in the water. Mm-hmm. There used to be more oxygen on the planet. I'm all about oxygen. So right now, you and I are breathing about 21% oxygen. The rest is pretty much nitrogen and some other inert gases. But there used to be a lot more oxygen on the planet. And in fact, if you go back to before we were here in the days of the dinosaurs, everything was big, right? I mean, the plants, ferns were 50 feet tall, and the oxygen at that point was 60 parts per million, 60%. So there's 21 today. And so one of the first questions I always ask people is, where does oxygen come from? So you were probably taught, just like I was, that it comes from the plants and the trees, right? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, 80% does come from, the rainforests and the plants and the trees, and actually mostly from the plant life in the ocean. And then the other 20% from the rainforest. So, and of course, the ocean and the rainforests are under attack, and the oxygen levels continue to diminish. But oxygen, I know you've probably had your oxygen test with a finger pulse meter from time to time. It's the first thing they do if you ever go to the hospital.
It's built into this ring I wear too.
Okay, great. So as you probably know, anything above 95% saturation means you're healthy. Mm-hmm. Anything below 95% means you've got health issues. Mm-hmm. It's a great overall indicator of your health. So I'm looking at one of the things over the years I've gotten good at is guessing what your oxygen saturation is. Yours is high. You're at 98, 99.
Yeah, that's what my ring says.
All the time. Most people aren't. Most people are significantly lower. And it has a lot to do with your overall health, which, of course, you're a health advocate, so it doesn't surprise me. But I'm 74 years old, and my oxygen saturation is 100% all the time.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And it's because I drink a gallon of this water a day, and I soak in it every day. And there's two ways you can absorb oxygen and increase your oxygen saturation. That is drinking our water and soaking in it. And when drinking's very powerful, but when you combine soaking, it takes it over the top. So what does that mean? Why do you want higher oxygen levels? Well, even mainstream medicine is promoting the fact that all disease is hypoxic. Mm-hmm. All disease. Cancer, all these autoimmune issues, they're hypoxic, which means low oxygen levels. If you can maintain, cancer can't grow, thrive, survive in a high oxygen environment. Mm-hmm. So if your oxygen levels are, on the low side, what that means is, things can happen, autoimmune issues. And so ideally you want to maintain those higher oxygen levels. And that's what we're all about.
I love that. Is the reduction in the oxygen levels also because of the blood flow? Is that a contributing factor, or how does the oxygen in the body?
So, so the problem today is, I mean, listen, everybody, you need to keep moving. People just aren't moving enough. I mean, we have this sedentary lifestyle. Most people are shallow breathers. They're sitting around too much. They're not eating healthy, and it's the whole big picture. But and it's so important to maintain high oxygen levels, and that's my mission. My last hurrah is to get people to realize that if you can keep your oxygen levels at a higher level, you're not going to get sick. So it's just a great overall indicator of your health, what your oxygen saturation is. So, you can buy a pulse meter, for $60, and it's a good idea to keep. And you wear the ring, so you're keeping you're keeping an eye on that. And it's important. It's really, really important, because in particular as you age, one of the things that happens when people age is they start drinking less water, and I don't know why that is, but it's a fact. And most people aren't drinking enough water, and they're drinking the wrong kind of water, and they're drinking in plastic.
Yeah, I am obsessed. I mean, for so many reasons, I love your water. I've been aware of it even before, I knew of you. But being in glass is just so important. I mean, microplastics, nanoplastics are now found in every single human organ.
Yeah,
it's so frightening, truly.
Well, if you allow me, I'm going to expand on that a little bit. I've been a lone wolf for years, trying to tell people you can't drink out of plastic, and here's why. So all bottled water is usually bottled by co-packers, and so if you go to the water shelf at Whole Foods and see all that water, 90% of it is done by a co-packer who's they're using a reverse osmosis. Most people are familiar with RO. RO water is very pure water. Takes it down to a TDS, total dissolved solids, takes it down to about 20 parts per million. Your tap water is about 400, 500.
Yeah, I have an aqua up there for mostly cooking and other things. I mostly drink glass bottled water.
But here's the thing. So all this bottled water that's in plastic is RO water. It's reverse osmosis water. It's a very pure water. You're going to hear me say this several times today. Water is called the universal solvent, which means water wants to absorb anything it comes in contact with. Pure water. So pure water, low TDS water, RO water, is going to literally, if it's in plastic, literally suck the toxins out of that plastic. So what's happening when all this plastic bottled water, let's just take Costco water, probably some of the best selling water. People buy it by the cases, they throw it in the back of their car. It's hot. It's been on a truck. I mean, it's 3 months old. And that RO water is literally sucking all the plasticizers and all the nasty stuff out of that plastic into the water. And then people are drinking that. And what people don't realize is bad water affects women more than it does men. And, breast cancer, as we know, is pretty rampant right now. And all those toxins get stored there. And that's the bad news. So you can't drink out of plastic. You just have to stop drinking out of plastic. First of all, anybody in their right mind, we don't need any more plastic in this world. So I see, and it's all a convenience thing. It's all about convenience. So, but I see young people drinking out of a single-use plastic bottle, and I go, what's wrong with you? I mean, that bottle is going to end up in a landfill forever and eventually in our bodies, and that's the issue today. So the main reason you don't want to drink out of plastic or use plastic is the toxins that it's absorbing from the plastic bottled water.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you completely. And to be honest, it's not that inconvenient. I mean, being healthy in general, it definitely takes planning. It takes, forethought, but it's not that inconvenient. I mean, I travel with these bottles all over the place.
Right.
So it just takes awareness is one.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the toxins are affecting women more?
Because those toxins are being stored in your body. For women, it's being stored in your breast tissue. And I personally believe, and we have a pretty astute medical board of advisors, my MDs believe that a lot of this breast cancer is from plastic. And and think about it. I mean, you're drinking you're drinking, a toxic soup of plastic when you're, especially the Costco. Some of these bottles, if you feel them, they're very pliable and and they're more susceptible to leaching the toxins into the water. And of course, the water's pulling those toxins out. So you're drinking all this water thinking you're doing a great thing for your body, but all these toxins, your body can't get rid of them. So, you've got a sauna here, and I'm a huge fan of sauna. That's the only way that you can sweat these toxins out of your body today. That needs to be a ritual for everybody. I'm such an advocate. I don't know any other way to rid your body, any other really effective way to rid your body of heavy metals and these plasticizer toxins than a dry heat sauna.
I completely agree. I mean, at this juncture and where we're at in society, I think it absolutely has to be a requirement now. Like sauna, I do sauna about at least 25 minutes and about 5 times a week, sometimes more.
That's great.
Because, and what's funny is, so at my clinic, we offer this lab test called the total toxic burden.
Right.
And I take this twice a year. I've had my husband do it. And I have some of the lowest toxin levels that we've ever seen, because patients come in constantly.
Yeah.
And they come in and they think that they're living super healthy.
Right.
But I look at their total tox burden and they have 10, 15, 20 toxins in the high range.
Right.
And it looks for, plastic particles, and it looks for, BPA and all this stuff. And it's kind of interesting that we've glamorized some of these water brands, but they're still in plastic. It's
God.
like,
No.
there's nothing fancy about Fiji. Nothing. Zero.
No.
So if you are drinking that thinking you're doing well, you're not.
No. People are buying it because it's in a pretty bottle. So, but no, drinking a lot of water, drinking pure water and using a sauna on a regular basis is a game changer for health. I'm like all over that. So.
I mean, I agree. And, I've put out all my labs publicly, and me and my husband, we want to start a family soon. And I did some fertility, super into fertility testing. And so did he. And I mean, my fertility levels are that basically of a 20-year-old. I'm 33, but I've been living this life for so long. Tons of sauna, tons of detoxing. At my clinic, we have an ozone sauna. Yeah. That's amazing for detoxification. Yeah. So,
well, let's talk about that. I mean, I have 2 young daughters, and both of them have had, they're adult daughters, and both of them have had problems getting pregnant. And my daughter, they've had to go through that whole, really expensive
IVF,
to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And my daughters are telling me that all their friends are going through the same thing. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing that people can't get pregnant anymore. And my understanding, again, from our MDs, is that it's the toxins. It's particularly the plastic. It's perverse, the amount of plastic. And I don't know, but I keep hearing that it's the guys that are having, there's just sperm count so low, and it just not working. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's just so many reasons not to drink out of plastic. So if there's one, that's my mission. If there's one thing if I can accomplish that today, it's just to get the word out that, anybody you love should be drinking out of glass. And it's not hard to do. When I'm traveling, my go-to water is, there's any kind of glass bottled water. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, it's RO water, add a little salt or some minerals, and it's going to be healthy. So
yeah, I agree. And I mean, obviously OPHORA is an amazing brand, but if you are unable to do that, you could just get an RO filter, have a glass bottle that you travel with. It doesn't have to be ultra expensive. I mean, AquaTrue is a couple $100, and it's like an investment that instead of buying a couple $100 in water that you're just going to leach plastic and pollute your body.
Right. I was just in Costa Rica last week, and we build these portable filters that I take with me, and so we were just making our own water while we were there, and adding, sea salt is like the best. I mean, you don't need any of these fancy, additives to the water. Just regular old sea salt is perfect.
I agree. I have a little bit of salt in my morning water.
Yeah,
And
it's perfect.
get the neurons going, and
Yeah,
just you feel amazing.
definitely.
Well, so hyperoxygenated, you have 40 parts per million, right?
That's correct.
In the OPHORA water. So that's amazing.
That's
So
over the top.
how many bottles, just like if you could have the ultimate protocol, how many bottles, just every single glass of water would be OPHORA that you have? How many do you want to have it per day for optimal?
Well, you should be drinking half a gallon of water a day at least. And I'm sure you do, probably more. I drink a gallon a day, but most people between a half a gallon and a gallon of water a day. The guys should be closer to a gallon, but you want at least a half a gallon a day of really pure water. And they say half your body weight in ounces is what you should be drinking. But, one of the problems today one thing that I like to bring up and tell people is, we're the only species on the planet that drink other things other than water.
Yeah.
So the lions don't have happy hour. They don't get up and have a cup of coffee. We are the only species drinking all this other stuff, right? I see the kids drinking all these energy drink. There's a lot of kids that aren't drinking any water at all.
I can imagine.
Think about that. I mean, what about the toxin load with that? The fact that you're not. That's why water is so important that people kind of miss is you're flushing toxins out of your body. Water in its purest form absorbs everything it comes in contact with. So when you're drinking really pure water, it's flushing the toxins, it's absorbing, it's pulling the toxins out of your body, and it's flushing them out. And then when you're taking your sauna, you're doubling down on that. So I tell people, if you want to up your health, like right now, inexpensively, the best way is to substitute whatever you're drinking and start drinking pure water. End of story. It's so easy. And people are drinking less and less water and more of all these other things. And then, people talk about the cost of our water. I'm going, I don't know. I go to Starbucks, I see these people ordering these $8, $9 drinks, and I'm going, okay, or what's a cocktail cost?
Right.
So no, you just need to substitute what you're drinking with pure water.
Yeah.
And it's gonna amp up your health.
Absolutely. So oxygenation is one component, but what about the pH of the water?
So the pH whole thing has gotten a little out of hand, I think. We believe in 8.0 is kind of the sweet spot. Again, more is not necessarily better. A lot of people, are 9.5, 10 parts per, of pH, and that's too high. And it can cause issues, particularly with women, yeast infections and different things. So we're a big believer in alkalinity. Not those super high levels.
What's the deal with this Kangen water machine?
Oh my God.
I can't.
Listen.
I can't.
I don't even know if you should get me going on that. What a ripoff. So.
Oh, yes.
These people, look at it has a filter the size of a bread. It just amazes me. People are going to the refrigerators thinking it's filtered water. These little filters are doing nothing. So if you remove 20% of the chlorine, let's just talk about I'm jumping into the refrigerators because that's where a lot of people get their water. Those filters are useless.
Yeah.
So if you take out 20% of the chlorine, the water is going to taste good. Those refrigerators filters, they're small, they take about 20%, but there's 80% of the chlorine left in the body. And, people do not get, I'm jumping around, so you have to pull me back in. But chlorine is a big issue because it kills your gut biome. It destroys your gut. And we all know, how important that is. So you've got to eliminate chlorine, and those small filters don't do it. And that's where I'm going with the Kangen. I mean, it barely filters the waters. It's all about ionization. Yeah, ionization is great. Negatively charged water is terrific, and they do a great job at that. But you're drinking, and it's dangerous because ionized water shrinks the water molecules. So you're actually polluting your body. You're drinking water that is not filtered, and it's getting into your cells because it is ionized. So they're really harming people with those systems. And I'm sorry, but a lot of people believe in them, but I'm just telling you, you're harming yourself by drinking Kangen water.
And you're harming your wallet. I mean, isn't it like $6,000?
You can buy, they don't filter the, first do no harm. You have to, our water is so degraded and devitalized, you have to start over. And you have to integrate RO. I mean, you have to have RO integrated. The hardest thing to remove from the water, frankly, is hormones and toxic. I mean, there's just you have to filter down to 0.0001 microns to remove the hormones and the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals are difficult to remove. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of pharmaceuticals in our water.
Yeah.
I mean, you live in a really dense area here, and I mean, and they're doing toilet to tap now. I mean, that's the whole big thing. And, water has memory, and, you can pull out some stuff, but it's going to be, you have to have a robust filtration system. And also when you're buying your water, just, buy it in glass. But, so there's no filtration in a Kangen system. So do yourself a favor, go out and buy a true filtration system and purify your water at home.
I agree. I mean, I get this question, obviously, I have a pretty large audience online.
Yeah.
I get this question constantly. Yeah. And I have like an auto reply saved, basically.
Yeah.
That I say the same thing. It's totally nonsense. Actually, my sister-in-law, when my husband and I got married, she knew I was, into health, and she's like, oh my gosh, I got sent this Kangen water machine, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I had barely known her at that time, but I just had to tell her because I felt an obligation, because I couldn't allow her to drink water out of this nonsense machine.
Right.
And people confuse price. Like, I don't understand why the price is $6,000 or whatever it is.
Well,
it's insane.
MLM, for God's sake.
It's total nonsense. So good. I'm glad that we put the Kangen water thing to bed. Like, please, literally, you could drink OPHORA, or you could get an AquaTrue for a few $100s, and you're going to actually filter your water.
That's correct. Yeah.
Please, everyone, do not be sold by this Kangen thing.
Yeah.
Kangen's probably going to come after me soon.
Both of us. That's okay. All right. That's okay.
Okay. So what makes this, it's interesting because it's like medical grade water. What makes it medical grade water?
The purity. So when you come up and visit our plant in Santa Barbara soon, you'll see the amount of equipment that it takes to produce medical grade water. So our water, you could use our water. I mean, it's when we say medical grade, we basically take it down to almost distilled quality water. But of course, when you purify water to that level, there's two equations to this: purifying the water and restructuring it. And where everybody misses the boat is they're not restructuring the purified water. RO water by itself is basically dead acidic water. Yeah. It's pure, but it's also removed all the minerals, and it's just dead water. Mm-hmm. So purifying the water is one half the equation. The other half is restructuring the water, and that's what OPHORA does, in my opinion, better than anybody. And what that means is, we use a lot of rose quartz crystal. You have to bring the water back to life. So we have to add all the basic minerals back into the water, which we do: magnesium, potassium, sodium, all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we vortex it, and we run it over rose quartz crystal. We also have a sound frequency that we integrate into it, and you'll see all this on our system. We have $1 million piece of equipment that produces our water, and the most expensive part is the restructuring part of it. Mm-hmm. So first we nano-purify it, then we bring it back to life, and then we hyperoxygenate it. And what's unique about our water, which people don't realize, is there's other so-called hyperoxygenated waters on the market, as well as hydrogen waters. And when we test them, there's no hydrogen and there's no oxygen in them. The difference the reason I have 4 patents on this water is that the oxygen is bound and stable to the water. You can pour a glass of this water, put it on your nightstand in the morning when you get up, it's still at 40 ppm.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it'll last for days. And it'll last in the sealed bottle for years. So, and again, when we test other waters, if there is any oxygen or hydrogen, and hydrogen is a whole nother story, but when you open the bottle, it's gone. You know, one of the things you've probably noticed is some of our bottles are kind of hard to open, right?
I've gotten a few of those, yeah.
we get, there's all stuff on the internet about it.
I've had to have my husband open a few
like
of them.
Weightlifters trying to, so what it is the oxygen, there's so much oxygen in the water, it forces the pressure on.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it's so hard to open.
Wow, okay.
But, you know, so I'm sorry about that.
No, actually, I feel like you just have to learn I don't know, maybe it's like my weight distribution, but then I figured out, and it's not a problem. But there were a couple. I was like, honey, can you open this for me?
That's right. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
So what are the other, I mean, obviously so many incredible benefits already, but what else is, you know, one thing that I love about just interacting with you is that you can tell that you made this product to benefit people.
Right.
And that's not always the case with some products in the market.
No, I mean, I'm this is my second podcast. You know, people don't even know who we are. I'm just not, I'm not, you know, people always ask me, well, what does your water do? And I go, just try it. Just try it. And when people try this water, they're sold. It's so that we've been growing our business, and we don't do any marketing, any advertising. We're literally producing all the water we can make. I mean, we're amping up, and as fast as we can. We're still having trouble. You know, Air One has really been first of all, they're a phenomenal company. There's
amazing company.
10 stores now. We love them. They love us.
Yeah,
we're their best-selling premium water, and you know, frankly, they really put us on the map. And so they've been our biggest promoter, and it's really been pretty helpful. But no, so I've been kind of behind the scenes, and this is kind of my last hurrah. And for me, it's all about drinking and soaking. If I can get people drinking and soaking, I can help people maintain. You know, you don't want to get sick. I mean, you know, it's like obesity. You know, I was sitting out in front of a school the other day, or there was a bunch of young kids coming out, and I was horrified about how heavy these kids were.
Yeah.
At a young age, and I'm looking at that, and I'm going, well, you know, what's their chance? What's their chance of fixing that? You know, when I was growing up back in the day, we might have had like one fat kid in school.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Do you remember that? Or
yeah, I mean, it was even rare when I, was in school. It was rare, but now it's just exploding.
Well, like diabetes, and maybe there was one kid in school with diabetes, right? Mm-hmm. And look at diabetes, what's happening with that. I mean, that's a horrific disease. People think, oh, you just take a shot or a pill and it's all good. Well, we know it's a horrible disease. Yeah. It's
a horrible disease, but type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease.
Yeah.
So that's amazing because you don't have to get it. You can reverse it.
Right.
It's
right.
It's literally like you're choosing. I've always said this since the beginning, like stop doing things that are actively harming yourself. Right. Stop eating food that's not real food. I mean, this ultra processed food that's, 70% of Americans' diets, it's just not food. It's not water if it's filled with toxins, It's always fun to tell people to go on the EWG and look at what's in their local tap water. It's atrocious. It's like totally, I said, you literally couldn't pay me to drink tap water.
No. When I hear people are drinking, and listen, they're giving tap water to their pets. I mean, come on. I'll talk to people and they'll go, yeah, I'm drinking good filtered water, but I'm just giving my dog tap water. I'm going, well, you're killing your dog. So
yeah. I mean,
so tap water is, what I tell people, honestly, tap water is good for one thing, and that's putting out fires.
I agree with you. I wouldn't even have thought of that, but yes, there is, I guess, one good reason.
Yeah, so that's it. But yeah, so my mission is to get people drinking and soaking, elevate their oxygen levels, and just enjoy a long, healthy life.
I love that. Do you have any fun like stories you can share with us? Like anyone using OPHORA Water for and like just seeing amazing benefits?
Well, we've done a lot of testing. We're finally getting to the point now we're going to be able to get some universities to start doing some testing, but it's a game changer for skin issues. So we did some testing a couple of years ago with psoriasis. We ran an ad. We lined up a bunch of people and got them in soaking. I'm going to move into soaking here. So drinking OPHORA water is a very, very powerful healing modality. But when you combine soaking in it, it literally just kind of blows up your health. What we've discovered is in 120-minute soak, your body, because our water is, so when you're sitting in our hot tub, you're basically sitting in our drinking water.
I love that.
It's that pure. So first of all, when you come up to test soak in a few weeks or whenever, what you're going to find out is you've never sat in a spa that's organically pure because they don't exist. Our water is organic water. It's the same as our drinking water. So it's nano-purified, hyperoxygenated. So it's hot. We keep our spa at 101, 102. So oxygen doesn't like hot water. So we can only get our levels up to about 31%, which is pretty darn high. So our drinking water is 40, our spa water is a little over 30. But so you're sitting in this nano-purified water. Water in its purest form absorbs anything it comes in contact with. So as you're sitting in this nano-purified water, it's literally sucking the toxins out of your skin. When you get out of our tub, you are squeaky clean. So once you use our tub, you don't want to go home and take a shower because you're just going to get dirty. So while it's pulling all the toxins out of your skin, at the same time, you're uploading all this oxygen. So in 20 minutes, your body, in our testing, what we've discovered, in 20 minutes, your body will absorb all the oxygen it can hold. It'll last in your body for 14 hours.
Wow, that's amazing.
So what does that mean? It means if you're healthy, 120-minute soak every day, along with drinking our water, is going to maintain that good health. If you have health issues, you want to soak twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. That way you're literally flooding your body 24/7 with oxygen. Again, all disease is hypoxic. If you can keep your oxygen levels elevated to the 99, 100%, 98 like you are, you're not, your chances of getting ill are significantly reduced. So, my mission is to get the word out that you need to, when you turn 50 years old, you should be soaking in this water.
How long? So we have a hot tub up there, and actually it was a funny conversation because my husband, I said, oh, we can't have chlorine. We had to have someone come and like drain the thing and get the chlorine water out. And now we're doing it with enzymes, which is kind of like the best that I could figure out for the time. Maybe salt, but how long? Let's just say if you have body of water, because you guys do pools too, don't you? Yeah. So you can do. Yeah. How often do you have to change it, or how do you keep it clean, or does it keep itself clean? Yeah.
So all of our systems. I'm an engineer. I'm a nut about things working well and particularly not breaking. So first of all, anything that we manufacture, it's built for a lifetime. I tell people you're going to be able to will it to your kids. So
I love that.
So it does take a significant amount of equipment to make this water. And when you come out and see our spa, you'll see the piece of equipment that is nano-filtering it and heating it and oxygenating it. But the system runs, so the water is always hot, always nano-pure, always oxygenated, ready to use. It's set up that way.
Okay.
It's all maintained automatically. We actually have an automatic fill on the tub, so it'll automatically fill itself and top itself off, but with no chemicals. So what's amazing, and I can't wait for you to experience it, you and your husband, I'm assuming, when you get out, you've never felt like this.
I can't wait.
So yeah, so it's exciting because it's so I don't take showers or baths. I soak every day.
Wow.
And it just feels so great. Yeah.
I can't wait to try it. Yeah. And I mean, eventually, once we find our forever home, we love it here. It's
Yeah.
amazing in nature, but we want to have a lot of babies soon, so we need to find
Yeah.
a bigger home.
Yeah.
You guys do whole home water systems also, so
Right.
that's definitely going to be something I'm going to be ultra interested in. So
Yeah, literally. So, 80% of the toxins, we can jump into that for a second. 80% of the toxins we come in contact with every day is showering and bathing. I mean, the water coming out of your shower and your tub, people, women particularly, love tubs. They like taking baths. So, you need to filter that water.
Yeah.
A whole home system, of course, we cut the plumbing line coming into your house. We install a whole home system so that all the water flowing into your house is purified water. So you're bathing and showering and drinking terrific water. But if you can't afford a whole home system or you don't own your own home, we also have a very robust shower system that we market that does pull out 100% of the chlorine because, so I'm assuming you probably have a shower filter.
we do, but I actually saw the OPHORA shower filter, and I need one of those.
Yeah. Part of the problem with the big issue in the water improvement industry, it's kind of weird, but it's run, the plumbers drive it. And if plumbers ran the world, we'd still be on horseback.
Yeah.
Again, nothing against plumbers. God knows we need them, but you have to filter your shower or bath water. Because what's happening if you don't? So, like you took a bath or a shower this morning. So if it wasn't filtered, you'd be wearing a shell of chlorine on your skin. That chlorine interacts with your organic matter and forms a very toxic, cancerous material. And all this skin cancer that they say is from the sun isn't necessarily from the sun, because skin cancer is showing up in a lot of places the sun's not shining. So it's just, so my opinion is a lot of the skin cancer, or a majority of it, is actually caused from the chloramine, because it forms chloramines on your skin, and that's a very highly carcinogenic material. So anybody that showered this morning and they're not filtering their water, they're wearing that shell of chlorine. It's forming the chloramines. It's very carcinogenic, and they're wearing it all day long.
Yeah.
So, but one of the problems, and where I was going with this, is that most shower filters, or most filters in the water improvement industry, are just not big enough. You have to have contact time with the water and the filters. So it's like back to the Kangen machine. You got a small little filter. The water is flowing through it. There's no contact time between the filter media and the water, and therefore, if you're lucky, you're pulling out 20% of the chlorine. So I don't know if you saw our shower filter. It's ugly as hell, but it's huge. So, yeah. And I get women go, that thing is ugly. I'm not going to put it in my house. I go, well, I don't know.
No, it makes so much sense, but it's amazing because I've, definitely I'm on the same page. I don't think that the shower water filters are doing nearly enough, but they're better than nothing.
That's correct.
So, but what's amazing is that when we travel, because I've had, such filtered water and essentially like whole home for so long,
Yeah.
I will literally get a rash like a couple days into
For sure.
using a regular shower. It's crazy. I'm gonna have to
For
start
sure you
traveling with a shower water filter
Oh, yeah.
because I'm just so not used to it. My body's like, what's going on?
Well, yeah. I mean, forget about the chlorine. It's just everything else that's in that water that our skin is our largest organ, and it's absorbing all this stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's like deodorant. I mean, when I was, they used to be aluminum. I mean, for God's sakes,
Yeah.
I used it. So,
So crazy that the products, everything is toxic. Like I feel like a broken record sometimes because I'm like, okay, I don't use makeup for, this type of makeup for this reason, or fragrance for this, or, water filtration for this. It's so unfortunate that people have to do so much work to not be poisoning themselves.
Well, it's a no-brainer. I mean, we're the wealthiest, country on the planet, and we have access to all this so-called great stuff. And I love makeup on women. I mean, but look at our health. Our health I was just in Costa Rica. It's like a third world country, but everything there is organic because pesticides are outlawed.
Yeah. I mean,
so all the food, you can drink the water, you can eat the food. You can't find makeup there.
Yeah. Well, there are some good brands, but it took so much effort, right? I thought like nice brands were good. Okay. This is like a decade ago when I first got started like tossing all the bad stuff out. And then so I had to spend all this time to find like an organic certified makeup brand. And most women don't know that they need to do that. So you're just trusting that if it's on the shelf or it's in the store, it's going to be okay for you and not poison, but that's just simply not.
That's what I love about Air One. I mean, the beauty of Air One is you can go in there, everything in that store is the best of the best in terms of, there's no oils in anything. It just you don't have to read the labels.
Oh, I mean, it was an adjustment for my husband, but we exclusively shop at Air One.
Yeah.
And yes, it was an adjustment.
That's right.
In terms of pricing for food.
So
but
you have to, maybe eat out less a couple of times.
we really don't eat out at all.
Well, it's hard to.
It is. I have such a high standard. There's basically like one steakhouse that's grass-fed, grass-finished. And
it's hard eting out healthy food.
We just don't. I see, like, we go on a date and it's to Air One. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we eat at the hot bar.
Yeah. So I know. People are so fatigued, but it's like you said, we have to do what we live in such a toxic environment in this country. We can't fix everything, but there's a lot we can do, and we need to do what we can do.
Yeah.
And take a lot of that load off our bodies.
I agree. And I think just starting with your home environment I really take it to like the nth degree. I work with like a biological home builder, and they come in and they assess like everything, right? From mold to the frequencies that are coming out of like the wiring in the walls to...
Right.
But you don't have to do that. But you do want to. I have an EMF Faraday cage around my bed. Yeah. It's a 100% organic GOT certified bed. I mean, we are like all the way in, right? Like air purifier for like, I think it's a 2,000 square foot air doctor, but we have one in every room. Yeah. Because it's just, you have to do this because I spend all my time in my house. Yeah. So
that's right.
It's going to have to be, it has to be like the cleanest, even the couch. I mean, geez, it's so hard to get an organic couch, but the VOCs in the couch, and like I mentioned with the sauna, the one that we have has, because you don't want to be sitting in a sauna with wood glues that are just, off-gassing. I mean, that's no good. Yeah. But it takes so much time and effort to figure all this stuff out.
It does. I mean, my friend and I were at the best vegan restaurant in Montecito, most highest end vegan restaurant in Montecito. And she's a real health advocate. And so she started asking the waiter about oils. And he said, well, I don't know. Let me get the chef. So the chef comes out, and lo and behold, we're in the best vegan restaurant in town. And they're using, seed oils mixed with olive oil. And it's like, we got up and left.
Yeah.
And, what the hell? I mean,
I know. There's an app now that you might appreciate. It's called Seed Oil Scout. Uh-huh. And that's the entire purpose of the app, is like they go through restaurants and rank all the ones that have seed oils, the ones that don't, and then some that do like half seed oils, half not. Yeah. But I think it's super helpful.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I'll just send it to you.
Yeah, because they're hard to get out of your body once they're there. So.
Yeah. I've been on no seed oils for like a decade. I haven't eaten a piece of inorganic food for like a decade.
That's great.
I don't. People think it's so crazy. They're like, oh, where do you like to eat in LA? I'm like, home.
Yeah. Truly, we've come to the same conclusion. I mean, and it's a bummer. I mean,
it is.
I want to go out to there, and you can't.
Yeah. You just got to bring the dinner to you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just am obsessed with OPHORA. I'm so grateful that you created this brand, and I also love that you guys keep developing new products with the pools and the spas and all these things. I mean, we need them. We need water. Is like, I always say, the things that are going to move the needle the most. At my clinic we do NAD and stem cells and EBU and all this stuff, but it's like, that's all amazing, but you have to focus on the basics. And what are you doing mostly? You're drinking, you're eating, you're sleeping, and you're breathing. Right. So if you can upgrade those items in your life, those areas, I mean, you're going to be healthier than what, 80, 90% of people?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get sick. I mean, you get tied up in the medical environment. You're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So
you definitely have to. I mean, it's not built for health. We know that. It's a sick care system.
No.
If you're there, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But we have so much that we can do, and
Yeah.
people just have to have discipline and take action and prioritize things. You know, I always hear it's so healthy or so expensive to be healthy, and let's be honest, it can be.
Yeah.
But if you think about, like, if you do have disposable income and you're in a position,
Yeah.
it's like, well, are you spending that on alcohol, which is actually a carcinogen and a neurotoxin?
Yeah.
Are you spending it on going out late and, you know, nightclubs? I don't know, something, late night activities. It's like, you just have to, you know, as I mentioned, our grocery bill is, I mean, one of our highest expenses.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, we're living in LA, so,
Yeah.
you know,
It is
the house
it's
is
your
most, but
yeah, besides your house. But look what you're saving. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but eating out is, you know, you're going to spend $200-300 eating
Absolutely.
out. So, you know,
cocktails are like $20, I feel like. I don't even know.
You know, back in the day, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and I looked at what I was spending and I went, you know, wait a minute, I can shop at Air One
Yeah.
every week and spend that small fortune.
Hey, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're in LA, you can get OPHORA Water at Air One, which I love. But you can also, if you're not in LA, you can just order it online,
You can
right?
subscribe and get a 10% discount, and we ship all over the world. Yeah, it's quick and easy, and it's just it's great. You know, and I tell people also, yeah, our water is pricey, so you know you can mix other water with our water. It's so powerful. You have 40 parts per million that you can't get more oxygen from anything.
Yeah.
So you can also, you know, Mountain Valley is kind of my go-to water when I'm traveling, don't have access to because of course it comes in glass. But it's also, you know, it's a mineral water, so you can actually mix it with our water and you know, stretch our water out a little bit. So
I love that. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a trend on like social media, or maybe just in my circle, but so because, and I'm not going to tell everyone to do this because it might take more time, but because it says medical grade water on this bottle, I've taken it through TSA.
Oh yeah. So we have fun with that. In fact, we just took I gave you a gallon of our water. You probably haven't seen a gallon.
No, I mean, I have, because I see it at Air One.
Well,
we
they
have
do half gallons.
Oh yeah. Oh, it is a bigger one. It is a gallon.
Oh, it's a gallon.
Yay.
It's a lot of water.
I noticed it was bigger, but it didn't register.
Oh yeah. So we actually, my friend and I just came through TSA, and we brought a gallon through.
I love it.
So we have more and more people. Yeah, it's fun. As far as I know, we're the only water that they let through TSA. I want to get a story on that.
It's so funny. I've done it. Me and my husband have done it on our last trip.
Oh, yeah.
My videographer, he's like super into longevity too. He's doing it. So
Well, LA, it's funny because the one of the persons in TSA said, "Yeah, we're seeing a lot of your water." They don't even bother checking it anymore. They'll sometimes take it and run it through whatever they do back there. And a lot of times aren't even bothering with that anymore. So
hey, I mean, that's another good reason.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So it's fun.
It is. Well, it's been such a pleasure. And I'm going to include, I have a code and all the links in the show notes, but I'm excited, and I got to make a trip up there. We have to go visit and soak in the spa. I'm so excited.
The sooner the better.
I'm so excited. Well, thank you for being here with me.
Right. Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is for informational purposes only, and views expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Kayla Barnes, does not accept responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of the information contained herein. Opinions of their guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.